Well, hello everybody, good evening. Yes, it's the end of January. That can mean only one thing. We are back for Handball Hits. And boy, oh boy, do we have a huge show for you this evening. Now, you obviously hear our voices quite a lot. And fortunately for you, actually, unfortunately, you get to see our faces tonight. But I am, of course, joined by the beautiful, shining Jack Oliphant, as always, the maestro on the mic. And you don't like me saying that, Jack. That's why I keep saying it. How are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm very good. I do look a bit shiny, actually. I think I've got a lighting issue coming this way. But I'm excited to be here. January's been a very long month for various reasons, isn't it? I think everybody always feels January. But it is nice to end on a high. And we've got exciting games to announce in February. We've got National Cup draws to be doing today as well, and a fantastic interview. So, yeah, we're ending definitely on a high.
We certainly are. Just a few reminders for everybody. The live chat is now open at Live Sport Now on YouTube. That is the best place to go if you want to have your say. We do want to hear from you as well. We can see the comments. If you comment in the chat section, we can show it on screen, just like we do for the live games wherever you're watching as well. And at any point as well, if you do want to find out more about the men's and women's Premier Handball League, or just handball in general, there is a link in the body of this broadcast. Take you straight through to the England Handball Association website. Do give it a click. Now, Jack, you've just given a bit of a clue as to what is coming up today. It's a huge day. This is coming up in this show, the National Cup quarter-final draw for both the men's and women's cup sides. That's going to be an absolute cracker. We have a treat for this one as well. We have our official adjudicator on standby. Elaine is in the background. Hello, Elaine. You can't see him, but hello, Elaine. He's going to manage that for us. He's going to make sure everything's done properly, transparently, and fairly, of course. But we're going to have a lot of fun whilst we do it. This man is coming up very shortly as well. Ricardo Vasconcelos, the men's senior GB head coach. What a sort of 4 or 5 months it's been for GB men, hasn't it? More from Ricardo in a little bit too. We've also got the highlights to show you, of course, from our match against Nottingham and Manchester in the men's Premier Handball League, and Nottingham against Loughborough in the women's Premier Handball League. If you didn't watch it last Sunday, where were you? But don't worry, we've got some highlights for you. It was a good day, wasn't it, Jack? That.
Yeah, it was fantastic, to be honest. The handball was electric. The sort of atmosphere was awesome, especially in the women's game, considering there were both teams playing technically at home with Nottingham and Loughborough, being a bit of a local derby. So, it was a pleasure to be there. Caught up with some old friends as well. So, all in all, great time.
Yeah, that's not it either. At the end of the show, we are going to give you some breaking news, of course, to officially announce which games are going to be shown live in February. And it's going to be a little bit different as well. We're actually going to be doing a little bit of travelling. We're going to have a north-south divide. One game across the Southern Premier Handball League and one across the Northern Premier Handball League. But more on that a little bit later. Now, we did just touch on it, didn't we? GB are a team on the up. In case you missed it, and how on earth did you miss it, by the way? Team GB made it through the first phase of qualifying for the European Championships. They're now into the second phase. There's still a bit of time to go before we actually find out who they're going to be playing. I did have, Jack, the absolute pleasure of catching up with Ricardo Vasconcelos yesterday. How well do you know Ricardo, Jack? Have you had a good
bumped into Ricardo quite a few times over the years, and never actually been coached by him. I think I'm one of the few players in the country that have played at sort of the highest level we can play at in England who have never actually been coached by him. He seems to be everywhere, and of course he works for England Handball now, as well as doing his PhD and whatnot. I'm sure he probably mentions it in the interview, so I won't spoil anything.
Yeah, he. In fact, funny enough, coming back from Azerbaijan, he went straight off to do his PhD as well and carry on. So he's a busy man. As I said, I did manage to catch up with him yesterday, and we chatted all things GB handball. Here's what he had to say. Ricardo, thank you so much for joining us this evening on Handball Hits. And of course, we must say a huge congratulations to you and, of course, your team. GB through to the next phase of European qualifying. I just want to go through it with you if we can, of course, because it's such a momentous occasion over in Azerbaijan. Before heading out there for the first phase of qualifying, what was sort of going through your mind? What was the expectation for the team?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and be able to contribute to the program and the development of the sport generically. Well, the mindset was to win. It was always in our mind to go there and qualify. I think that's a shift that we've had since I've started. Is that we never enter a game lost. So we always enter to win. And as such, our goal was to go there and win and qualify. And the players had that mindset from day one of the preparation, who started much earlier than the travel day. And I think that all that process and that mindset led to ultimately achieving the goal that we set to achieve.
Now, it got off to quite a dramatic start, didn't it? Cyprus was up first. You were trailing, but you guys came back to tie it 25. Or what did you say at half-time to the team to get them fired up for that second half?
It was testament of the work of the boys, actually. We were winning by 1 at halftime. So it was a simple conversation, just reminding them of how we got to that stage. We knew Cyprus was the toughest opposition. They were the favorites to qualify because they were the highest ranked team. We had spent a lot of time observing Cyprus's matches and doing an in-depth analysis of player by player, their tactical systems as a team, their strengths and weaknesses, and how to explore those. And we had played an almost perfect first half. So the conversation at halftime was very, very simple. It was just remembering them and how we got to that stage.
Yeah.
The fact is, in the second half, things didn't really go the way we expected them to. Cyprus are an experienced team who have been in this context much time than we did. So they've exposed some of that lack of experience that we have. But the boys showed great composure to claw back the result and ultimately getting a fundamental draw.
The next game up was, of course, Azerbaijan, the host for this sort of 3-match series, shall we say. 39-22 was the result. It looks fairly straightforward, but it never is it, Ricardo?
No. Well, just to frame the scene, 2 years ago we played the same team, Azerbaijan, and we won by 1 in the last minute. 35-34. So we were very aware of the danger they could pose. And again, we took the time to prepare carefully. We studied Azerbaijan matches. We spent time analyzing their game against Malta. We identified some aspects that we could explore. And it's one of those games where we knew we would have to go in to win, but also to gain a gap in the score to aid us for the last day. And the boys followed the plan to perfection, and the result showed.
And it showed going into the third game as well, because you mentioned about the score and getting a gap in the score. It proved important, didn't it? Having that goal difference margin in the end, because the final game, Malta, 44-14. That was some performance, Ricardo. Had you set the team out to be, we've just got to score, we've got to get that margin as big as possible?
Yeah, I'm very lucky that I have a team of a group of boys that understands the game and understands why and what we need to do in every scenario. They make my life and our life, the staff members, very easy in that aspect, because they are a group that almost doesn't need any motivation. We are there to facilitate and enable them to flourish and develop. And they've done so. So we set the scene. We knew the only option we had now, because Cyprus would play after us, was to try and build a mountain that was just too high for them to climb. And identified how we could do that, and that meant we had to put the foot on the gas from the start and never look back. And so we did, and we built a margin that forced Cyprus to have to win by 27 goals the last game against Azerbaijan, which was just too hard for them to achieve.
Yeah, it was just a note for that. Anybody interested, Cyprus did win that game against Azerbaijan, but it was 32-23. Now, Ricardo, after, because I've seen all the pictures on social media, let's have a little look at a picture of you guys. Look at all that. What a great team you've got there.
Definitely.
What I want to know, after you created history, because we need to set the scene here. Great Britain have never been past phase 1, have they? Never been past phase 1. So history has been created. When you got everybody in the locker room and you realise that Cyprus hadn't beaten Azerbaijan by the required score, did you take a moment together just as a team? Are you allowed to tell us sort of what you said to your team after that moment?
It was quite interesting, because we had the chance to stay and watch the game live in the venue, or to go back to the hotel and watch it together as a group. And the boys decided to go back to the hotel so they could be as expansive as they would like whilst watching the game. So we found a place in the hotel, and we all watched the game together. And we obviously waited until the last minute. It's never won until it's won. And then it was an explosion, and and I will keep it there.
I wish I could have been there. It sounds incredible. So what happens next, Ricardo? Obviously, phase 1, fantastic, amazing, created history. What happens next? Phase 2, I gather.
Yes. So we are now waiting to understand how the phase 2 will look like and when. So we are constrained by the war in Ukraine. So Russia and Belarus are excluded from EHF competitions due to the war and to the invasion of Ukraine. So there's the expectation and the hope that the war will end sooner rather than later, and that might change the suspension. So teams might be allowed back to the competition, and that will then impact the phase 2. So at this moment, there's a lot of uncertainty. The only thing we know is that we are there for the first time ever. We also understand that this is just part of a long process. It's the first step in a long process, and we need to be very aware of that. We haven't won anything yet. We just qualified to the next stage, and that's the mindset we need to move forward. This is a natural step towards the end game that we want to achieve. Obviously, one that should make us all very proud. One that a wave that we need to navigate because it doesn't come often enough. But definitely just one more step in the right direction.
It certainly is that, and you have to celebrate each victory as they come as well, don't you?
Indeed.
Let's just get our crystal balls out and just look a little bit into the future, because it does seem like handball in the UK is getting bigger and bigger. I know how big it is across the rest of the continent in Europe. In the UK, it does seem that it's a little bit behind the curve with it. But where are we going, Ricardo? Where are we going to be in 5 years with handball in this country, do you think?
I think there's no necessity to sugarcoat the pill. We are definitely behind the European countries within the UK, but we are taking steps in the right direction. We are investing and supporting schools and teacher education, coach education, player development. We have a talent pathway that is supporting players to find opportunities within the UK with our EPA in Loughborough, but also to go abroad and be exposed to that level of competition that will then raise our level in terms of national team. We hope that we are able to navigate the results we are gaining also at under 20s level, that we've just won the EHF trophies, which is a massive result that was never achieved before. We are hoping to be able to navigate those wins to raise the awareness, bring some degree of investment that will allow us to take the next step internally in terms of our competitions as well and our development. But we are definitely taking steps in the right direction.
We certainly are. I'm a big believer that all sport is influenced from the very top, and we just created history under your guide, your leadership, your guidance, Ricardo. So thank you very much. A huge congratulations to you and everybody. I know you're a busy man. I'm going to have to let you go, so I'm going to hand back to myself and Jack in the studio, and we've got the National Cup quarterfinal draw coming up. Ricardo, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. See you later.
Yeah, how good is that to hear from Ricardo there, Jack? It's I've said this, I've said it in that interview, I say it all the time. Sport is influenced by what happens at the very, very top. And if the national team are having a degree of success, it's only going to filter down, right, Jack?
Absolutely, yeah. I think, there was quite a lot of stuff that you guys went through during that 10 minutes interview, and it was all positive things. It was all a stepping in the right direction sort of thing. And as you say, hopefully we get that sort of trickle down effect that everybody always sort of pipes on about. So fingers crossed that happens, and especially if we can get likes of Ricardo, who coaches at Nottingham, of course, and he puts a lot of effort into the Nottingham team, which we're about to see, obviously, and then that sort of influences everybody else around to try and up their game to try and match those sort of teams as well. So, he's done a fantastic job, and it was a brilliant weekend of handball.
Fantastic stuff. Now we get into the meat and bones of Handball Hits this evening. We're coming up for the National Cup quarter-final draw. We are going to start with the women's side of the draw. Here are the teams, as you can see. So we're going to quickly just have a look. And these are the numbers. We've assigned each team numbers, and then we've got a spinny wheel, which you're going to see. We're going to bring it in. We're going to spin the number, and obviously whoever the number falls on, that is the team selected. So number one, if you're watching this, the team's watching this right now, you should be like the FA Cup in football, shouldn't it? You should all be down the pub right now, getting together and watching this on the big screen. Nottingham are number 1, Loughborough or Oxford number 2. I actually think Loughborough might already be through, but just to be safe, I have put Oxford in there, but I think Loughborough could already be through. But number 2 is Loughborough or Oxford, regardless anyway. If Loughborough are already through, they're number 2. NEM Hawks or Liverpool are number 3. Sabres or Northampton are number 4. Chelsea or Olympia are number 5. London GD or Islington are 6. West London Eagles 1 or Paul Phoenix are 7. West London Eagles 2 or Bristol are number 8. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to bring this up and I'm going to bring this in as well. Woo-hoo-hoo! Would you look at that? Now we have our official adjudicator. Elaine is in the background. He is managing this, not me. I can assure you it's all done transparently. We are live, of course. Unless you're watching this on the repeat in a couple of days' time. If you are watching it on the repeat, then the draw's already been made. So you already know. So there you go. Right, what we're going to do, I'm going to ask Elaine, if you wouldn't mind, if you would spin the wheel of handball glory for us, please. Spin the wheel. Let's see what number we have first. Here we go. Who's going to be up first? Is it going to be 3 or is it going to be 4?
The tension.
Oh, it's number 3. So the first team up, NEM Hawks or Liverpool, will be at home. There you go. Who are they going to play? Elaine, if you could spin the wheel, please.
Held in the north, though. If we are broadcasting one of these games, it'd be nice to be up this way.
And they've got number 6. Number 6 is London GD or Islington. Ooh, okay. That could be an interesting one, couldn't it? I like the sound of that. So London GD or Islington. Well. What do you make of that draw, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, Hawks or Liverpool, both teams very, very strong, obviously, in the North Premier Division. GD, I mean, we've seen them plenty of times as well. Islington, haven't seen much of them. You'd probably say that GD are the favourites. They normally are the favourites wherever they go. So, let's sort of wait and see if there's going to be a cup upset, but it looks like a tasty draw.
Yeah, there we go. That's the first one there. So our first 2 teams are out of the pot. Let's go again, shall we? Let's go straight into it. Who have we got next? Let's spin the wheel of fortune or misfortune or whatever you want to call it, really. The happy handball. It's going to be number 8. It's confirmation of number 8. It is number 8. That's West London Eagles 2 or Bristol. Okay, interesting stuff.
Again,
right,
2 teams I don't know an awful lot about, to be honest. I think both of them play in the 2nd division. So it's, again, they're hosting. It might be a tough matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's spin the wheel then and find out who they're going to be playing. Number 5. This is exciting, isn't it? Number 5 is Chelsea or Olympia. So we could have a London derby here, couldn't we? If West London Eagles can make it through. Who's your money on there, Jack?
Well, again, you'd probably have to argue that both Chelsea and Olympia are the 2 stronger, being that they're both in the Southern Premiership division. West London Eagles 2 versus Bristol. I'm not entirely sure how the player movement can work, whether or not West London Eagles 2 can maybe bring some of their ringers from the first team down to give them a hand. But either way, that one, again, a London derby would be quite exciting.
Yeah, there we go. So confirmation so far for the Women's National Cup quarterfinal. NEM Hawks or Liverpool will take on London GD or Islington. The second matchup so far is West London Eagles 2 or Bristol will take on Chelsea or Olympia. Let's get back into it, shall we? Let's keep ourselves going. We've only got 4 teams left in the pot. Elaine, spin the wheel of handball happiness. That's what I'm going to call it now.
I was going to say, we should have probably thought of a snappier name when we actually started the podcast, really. But well.
If anybody's got a snappier name, please do comment below. We can't see your comments.
It wouldn't be that hard.
Exactly. The live chat is open. It's number 2. Number 2 is Loughborough or Oxford. So there we go. Loughborough or Oxford. Okay, let's go for it then. Let's spin that wheel.
It's exciting, really, though, because a lot of these teams we haven't actually broadcast. We haven't seen that much because they play in the second division. So it'd be nice to get them broadcasted if possible.
Number 7. Hey, who is number 7? Who was that? Let's go have a look back. Number 7 is West London Eagles 1 or Paul Phoenix. Tell us a bit about Paul Phoenix. You know a little bit about Paul Phoenix, don't you?
Well, I think we covered Paul Phoenix in June at the National Cup final. I think it was their under-19 girls, I want to say, or boys. I can't remember which one. It was exciting. They're coached by, oh my God, John. Oh my God, I forgot his second name, which is really embarrassing because he coached me for years as well. But John from England, John Pierce. There we go. So they're again another one of those teams, a bit like Nottingham, that sort of excelled due to coaches coming out of the Olympic program and other sort of high-end coaching.
Yeah, excellent stuff. So confirmation then at the minute, NEM Hawks are Liverpool versus London GD or Islington. West London Eagles 2 or Bristol taking on Chelsea or Olympia. Loughborough or Oxford, or I think Loughborough might actually already be through. Taking on West London Eagles 1 or Paul Phoenix. That's how things stand. We only have 2 teams left. We've got it's going to be Nottingham against Sabres or Northampton, but who will get the home dressing room? That's what we all want to find out. Let's spin that wheel. It's going to be Nottingham. So Nottingham, there we go, confirmation there. So that is how it's finished up. Nottingham will be taking on Sabres or Northampton. What do you make of that? You enjoyed that? That's a nice, fun little draw, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's also worth explaining, though, the reason why a lot of these are Loughborough or not Oxford or Hawks or Liverpool is because a lot of the games haven't been played yet. They will be played over the course of the next coming weeks. As we said, we're suspecting that Loughborough might have even played today, but we haven't got the confirmation of the results. So that's why it's a little bit up in the air, and there's almost 4 teams vying for one game at a time.
Yeah, absolutely that. So let's just get confirmation of the Women's National Cup quarter-final draw. NEM Hawks or Liverpool will be taking on London GD or Islington. That could be an absolute corker, couldn't it? We're going to have a north-east-south clash there. West London Eagles 2 or Bristol will take on Chelsea or Olympia. We've got Loughborough or Oxford will take on West London Eagles 1 or Paul Phoenix. That's quite an interesting tie. And Nottingham will take on Sabres or Northampton. Now, with these games as well, they are due to take place on Sunday, the 2nd of April. Of course, subject to getting venues. They are supposed to normally will all take place at the same venue. That would generally be the idea. I'm not so sure if that's going to be able to happen this year. Hopefully it will. And if we can, we'll be there to bring you the action live as well. So quite a tasty introduction to our cup draws. Now, Jack, we were, of course, bringing a bit of Women's Premier Handball League action at the weekend. We made the trip to Nottingham, a cracking venue, actually, Sutton Bonington Sports Centre. Boy, that is a very, very nice venue for some handball. It was a very exciting game as well. I'm delighted to say we do have some of the best bits from the game to show you now. So sit back, relax, and watch this.
Loughborough as they get up the line, and the number 9 was having the same problem as the first game. There we go, there's Nottingham's first goal to make it. So Nottingham counter-attacking quickly, and Ricardo finds it, and what do we say? There we go, the turnover. They are looking, they've had such a lightning quick start, didn't they? They've just slowed down a little bit until now. They're not being fazed by that one, given the physical challenges still. Great goal! It's still awesome to watch. Oh, beautiful. Nottingham get back into it. Incredible score. We're now popping areas across. Yeah, good goal. So that was beautiful. Movement to try and get the line playing. Oh, beautiful. And who else on the fast break? Bringing the right wing into the line at force. Oh, wow, well done. My chat is open. Subscribe. My word.
Yeah, there you go. That was Nottingham against Loughborough. It finished Nottingham 23, Loughborough 30. But it was quite a tight opening half, wasn't it, Jack?
It was, yeah. I think Nottingham just didn't quite get into the rhythm quite enough. Loughborough were, very good all round. They were able to bring people off the bench that pretty much didn't weaken the team in any way as well. So when they were on top, it's not like they had tired legs out there. They could keep changing it up. And you saw particularly on the right back position between two of the players, I think it was Steeples and Bernard. You almost didn't notice that Steeples had come off and Bernard had come on because the moves were the same intensity. And it was fantastic to watch, but particularly Holly Luke on those fast breaks, coming up from that right wing position. She was excellent. She gave them a real good impetus, and the massive defence of, I think it was the player of the match as well, Heidi Warren, even, as I'm reading it to my left. In defence and in attack, her line play and central defensive sort of strength was imperative to Loughborough's victory.
Yeah, I was going to touch on Heidi Warren there, but you've kind of just mentioned, actually, I was going to ask why was she player of the match, but you sort of just mentioned it there. I've actually got a story to tell you about Florence Steeples for Loughborough. I don't know if you remember in the National Cup last year, the finals, Flo was playing in that game. She broke her ankle playing for Loughborough in that game as well. Do you remember our little studio we had set up? I heroically gave up the couch for her. And I totally didn't realise until after the game, and she came up to me and said, "Do you remember me from the National Cup? I'm the one who broke my ankle." So it's great to see, if you are watching, Flo, great to see you up again. Great to see you moving. But what does that do for Loughborough going forward for this season? Because it was quite a big win for them, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I think realistically, I think it was a mid-table clash. I realise I'm on camera, but I'm having to look it over to the left-hand side. It was a bit of a mid-table clash. Loughborough, they did have a game in hand on the likes of Liverpool. That win meant they went from 11 points up to 14, if I could do the maths in my head, which obviously is a good step in the right direction. But they're not quite on the same level as Hawks and Liverpool, I would say, from what we've seen watching. It does go to show that they're potentially the best of the rest, but I think you really want to be breaking into those top two to go into that sort of final four stages that obviously everybody's aiming to go into, so then they can play the southern teams for the overall championship.
Yeah, there have been a number of games over the course of this weekend as well. So we don't have up-to-date league tables to show you. However, I can tell you how it looked at the close of play last Sunday. Was Liverpool top of the Women's Premier Handball League North. NEM Hawks were in second place. So Liverpool played 16 points. NEM Hawks have played 5, won all 5 games, by the way. They're on 15 points. Loughborough in third place, played 5, won 3, lost 2, 11 points. Nottingham in fourth, played 6, won 2, lost 4 on 10 points. Trafford in fifth with 6 games, 1 win, 5 losses, 8 points. And Birmingham also likewise in sixth place, 6 played, 1 win, 5 losses, 8 points, but a minus 43 goal difference. So there have been a number of games going on over the course of this weekend as well. Unfortunately, I don't have those results to hand to give you. Trafford played NEM Hawks yesterday. Liverpool played Nottingham yesterday, and Loughborough played Birmingham. So things will have changed quite a bit, I imagine, since then. If anybody's watching this and wants to comment some of the scores below, I do have some of the scores from the course of the last 24 hours to give you. It's been a good weekend for West London Eagles. They have won in both of their categories, actually. The women won 29-17 against Cambridge, and the men won 30-25 against Cambridge as well in that one. And it looks like as well for Manchester, they beat Birmingham in the Premier Handball League North as well, 2017 in the men's category there. So congratulations to everybody. If you are watching, please do comment. The live chat is now open. Like, comment and share. It helps us get handball out to as many people as we possibly can. We do have some scores coming in, actually, and it's so good. Ricardo's watching as well, look. So here's a couple of scores coming in. Liverpool 22, Notts 39. A good win for Nottingham, that, Jack.
Yeah, no, that's a sort of pretty statement win, I'd say, because obviously they're trying to chase down Manchester Hawks for the title. And if you ignore that, if we're going off last weekend's finishing points tally, or league table, I should probably call it, then you are looking at Nottingham 2 points behind Manchester Hawks. So with a win this weekend, that could really, again, put the pressure on Hawks. There is no game in hand in that situation. They've all played 5, obviously, until just recently. And the goal difference is very close as well. So if that goal difference that Ricardo's put, wherever it is, in that direction, is true, then that'll actually pull Hawks a lot closer as well all of a sudden. It's going to be very tight at the top.
Yeah, we've had Susan's commented as well. Susan Whitehead, another result coming in. Hawks beat Trafford. You know the score? You want to know the score? Have a guess, Jack. Have a guess.
Well, I can actually see it in the top right of my screen.
You've already looked. There you go. 36-17. That's what you were going to guess, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, no, bang on the money that. But yeah, another really good sort of result from them in the women's. I'm guessing because obviously if it's playing against Trafford, Trafford, yeah, and Birmingham in the women's Premier North, they are struggling a little bit. So Hawks doing exactly what they needed to, winning comfortably as well. By the looks of it, to gain that extra goal difference. Not that they really need it; their goal difference is massive compared to everybody else's, but still always nice to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Our good friend Harry Emmons plays for Carshalton Titans. He's messaged in a score as well. London GD playing Carshalton Titans. Here is the result. And I'll tell you something. That's a pretty good result for Carshalton, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing to say when they've lost, but equally, it's a surprising result that they've lost by so little. I would say that's not a disrespect to Carshalton. It's more of a compliment to London GD. We're so used to them running away with it. They won the National Cup finals, obviously, that we've mentioned already a couple of times back in June, and they're performing really strongly this year as well, only second to Olympia. Well, that was before the result that Harry so kindly told us. Again, that's probably the closest table if we're looking at the people for the top two. You got Olympia at the top. You got GD in second. This is all before the result that Harry just said, obviously. They're 16 points and 15 points. Chelsea have got 14. West London Eagles have got 12. And I'm just making sure I'm looking at the men's. Yeah, I am. So it's very, very close to try and crack into those top two.
Absolutely. Do keep them coming in as well, please. If you have been at a game today or you played in a game, please let us know. We are trying to pick them up, really. I've just been looking at social media across the course of the day. Do keep up to speed with the England Handball Association social media channel as well. The updated league tables and all the results will be going on there as well. If you do want to find out more at any time about the men's or Women's Premier Handball League, there is, as always, a link in the body of this broadcast. It will take you straight through to the England Handball Association website. As we said, the best place to comment. The live chat is open at Live Sport Now, right now on YouTube. That is where we bring you as much of the action as we possibly can, as well as the England Handball Association YouTube channel as well. Make sure you subscribe to both. It helps us bring you guys even more live handball and shows like Handball Hits. Rightio, Jack. I don't know about you, but I feel like I want to do another quarter-final draw. How about you? Are you up for this? We're going to turn our attention.
Let's do it.
We're going to turn our attention, everybody, to the Men's National Cup quarter-final draw now. Again, 8 fixtures in it. So, 8 teams in it. There's going to be 4 fixtures, of course. These are the teams involved and the numbers for the quarter-final draw for the men. So number 1 is Manchester or Durham. Number 2 is Nottingham. Number 3 is Northampton or NEM Hawks. 4 is Oxford or West London Eagles. 5 is Bristol or Chelsea. 6 is London GD or Brighton. 7 is Chichester Vulcans or Olympia. And 8 is Paul Phoenix or Carshalton Titans. So Harry Emmons, I know you're watching this right now. You'll be very interested. Ricardo, you're watching as well. Nottingham, you'll be very interested as well. Susan, you're watching, so I know you'll be interested. You'll all be interested in our cup draw for the men's. If I do take a little bit of time, it's only because I have to write them down so I can send them back off to England Handball as well, so we can just get them properly confirmed. So apologies if there's a bit of a pause in between each one, because I have to write them down manually. So there we go. Technology should be a wonderful thing. Right, Elaine, our more than capable adjudicator. He's in the back. We are live, of course, doing this, unless you're on the replay. If you're on the replay, the fixture's already been determined. So there you go. Doesn't really matter, does it? But we are now live doing this. Elaine, our adjudicator in the background, he's controlling the wheel. It is a random generated wheel. So Elaine, if you could hit spin, and let's get our first team out of the bag for the men's National Cup quarterfinal draw. Oh, the tension, Jack. I'll tell you something, the tension. It looks like it's going to be number 4. There you go, number 4. That is Oxford or West London Eagles. Okay. Let's spin the wheel, shall we? Let's go for it.
So they'll be hosting obviously down south, won't they?
Yeah.
As the home team, hopefully we can all get venues at the same area versus number 1.
Number 1. I think Durham's in that part, aren't they? Manchester or Durham. So Oxford or West London Eagles will take on Manchester or Durham. Okay. Give me 2 seconds. What do you make of that, Ty?
Yeah, that's going to be quite interesting. You'd say probably argue West London Eagles and Manchester, the two favourites, given the fact that they're on the Premier Division. And but again, it's quite nice to see potentially Oxford or Durham, two teams that we don't get to see very often, obviously, as we only broadcast the sort of top tiers. So those sort of second division teams, they could cause an upset. You never know, and they might actually get a chance to prove themselves against some of the bigger boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's get on with our second fixture, shall we? Elaine, if you could do the honours and spin the wheel of Handball Happiness. Handball Happiness. Why did I think of that? That was so much better.
Yeah, so that must be the best thing we can think of to call this section of the Handball HITS show. That's the number 6 has been pulled out of the hat.
Number 6 is London GD or Brighton. There we go. Again, Brighton is a team we don't often talk about, Jack.
No, and again, as a consequence, don't know an awful lot about them. I think potentially the only time I've come across them is playing against them in the University Championship, which obviously is a completely different team. So, that one's going to be very interesting. But again, you'd have to argue GD. They're nearly always favourites, no matter what team they come up against. So Brighton have a lot to do.
Yeah, excellent. So London GD or Brighton will play. Let's spin the wheel. It's number 8, which is... Who was number 8? Paul Phoenix or Carshalton Titans. Harry, if you're watching, what do you think of that? We want to hear from you, buddy. Comment below. Paul Phoenix or Carshalton Titans. What do you think of that one then, Jack?
Yeah, well, I think, have we watched Carshalton? I feel like we've come across Carshalton, maybe only because Harry... I think we watched them against Cambridge, didn't we? I think that was one of the ones where you ended up.
Well, we were there last month actually for that game. Yeah, and Carshalton were good. They won their match in the men's.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they're a bit more well drilled, a bit quicker than Cambridge from memory anyway, because I've watched it back. Against Paul Phoenix, again, an unknown quantity from me, but they're four southern teams. Even if they are very far apart from each other, Brighton to London is not exactly a local derby.
No. Although it's not bad, is it? It's not bad. Right, 4 teams left in the pot. Let's get our third fixture for the men's quarter-final National Cup. Let's spin that wheel.
I think, to be fair, Harry's probably and Carshalton will probably be quite excited about that one to go up against potentially Brighton.
It's going to be number 3, and number 3 is Northampton or NEM Hawks. That would be quite a good game, actually. That Northampton NEM Hawks, Jack.
Yeah, no, I think we've got a couple of people in the chat. We obviously mentioned Sue Whitehead before. We've covered Hawks quite a bit over the course of the Handball HITS and the time we've been broadcasting. So they're going to be very interested to see who they're going to be hosting, because, of course, them or Northampton potentially will be hosting whoever comes up next.
They certainly will. So talking to that, let's find out, shall we? Who is it going to be? Let's spin the wheel of Handball Happiness. And, of course, this will also tell us who our final fixture is going to be. It just depends who gets the home dressing room, of course. It is going to be number 5. Let's just wait for the little cheer. Woo! There we go. Number 5 is Bristol or Chelsea.
Yeah, again, it won't be a local derby. Having to go all the way down to Bristol, Northampton or Hawks, or Chelsea equally. But again, it'll be 2 teams that they haven't played against this season. And I know a lot of the top teams have been sort of itching to sort of go and play some other teams, even if it does mean travelling. The new league format means that you don't quite get that sort of variety in your opponents. So, again, it'll be a good test for the likes of Hawks to go down and potentially play the likes of Chelsea, who obviously in the Southern Premier League.
Yeah, absolutely. It does just leave 2 teams left, of course. Number 7, Chichester Vulcans or Olympia. And, it will obviously be Nottingham as well. It depends who's going to get the home dressing room, though. So, for the final time, let's spin the wheel of Handball Happiness for the men's National Cup quarter-final draw.
Yeah, watched Nottingham a couple of times now over the course of the National Cup finals, and obviously what we saw the other week. It'd be fun to see them again. They're an exciting team, and they will be hosting as well. So number 2, and Nottingham will be at home. As I said, probably at Sutton Bonington, which is not a bad thing, as Ian mentioned before.
No, it's not. Chichester Vulcans, a team we don't know a great deal against. They'll be underdogs against Olympia, though, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be honest. I wasn't that aware that Chichester had a team. That's how little I sort of know about them. But equally, it's very exciting to sort of go and see some new faces out there and sort of other teams that have risen through the ranks. And, a big game against Olympia as a potential giant killing for them. It's going to be a good, exciting game. I'll be keeping an eye out on the social media to see who wins that one.
Yeah, please do keep abreast across the England Handball Association channels. Thank you very much, Elaine, our adjudicator in the background there, doing a sterling job. So our draw is complete for the men's quarter final, as it has been for the women's as well. But let's just get clarification on the fixtures. I think we're coming up for the men's National Cup quarter final. We're going to have Oxford or West London Eagles. They are going to be taking on Manchester or Durham in quite a tasty affair there. London GD or Brighton will be taking on Paul Phoenix or Carshalton Titans. So, John, if you're watching, what do you make of that? Northampton or NEM Hawks will be taking on Bristol or Chelsea. And Nottingham will be taking on Chichester Vulcans or Olympia. Same with the women, actually. We must say, obviously, it's Chichester or Olympia or a lot of teams, or because there's still a lot of fixtures to go before we get to the quarterfinal. But, of course, the quarterfinal games are due to be played on Sunday, the 2nd of April. So we do have to get this draw done as soon as possible. And now, of course, you teams watching, you now know your route to the next stage as well. It's quite a big tournament. It's quite a big event, isn't it, the National Cup, Jack? We were there, of course, last year for the finals.
Yeah, and England Handball put a lot of effort into making it sort of the big sort of staple, the big weekend of the calendar sort of thing. So it's quite important that, one, we didn't screw it up, the National Cup draw. So thankfully, hopefully we didn't. I know, yeah, exactly. Right. A bit of a sigh of relief. But it's also an opportunity. That's pretty much where everybody wants to get to. The league's cool. The Final Four is going to be a bit of an experiment. Not entirely sure how it's all going to work out, whether they're going to have two massive weekends or whether they're going to have one. They try and amalgamate it all into one, which would be quite a lot of pressure on some of the teams that potentially are in the fight for the Final Four and the National Cup finals. But it's the one where everybody wants to jump on. We put the massive broadcast on like we did last time. Everybody can obviously send it all down to their friends and family. It's a really fun thing to do, and it's where a lot of people sort of aim for it. It is the FA Cup of the handball, England handball world, and if anything, actually, probably people care about it more in comparison to than the FA Cup.
Absolutely. Now, if you are watching this and you're a player, you're a fan, or you just want to get involved, comment below. We want to know what you think of that draw there as well. We have had a comment coming in as well. A Paul Phoenix player has got in touch with us. Great to hear from you, by the way. We want to hear more. Carshalton, tough opponent. Neither of us, I think, would like to go against London GD. So hoping Brighton can put something together if possible. Can Brighton get one over London GD, Jack?
It's going to be very difficult. I think a lot of people will be sharing the sentiment of Angel there. If London GD got kicked out, well, not kicked out, if they got knocked out by Brighton, one, I think quite a few people would sort of turn their heads and be quite fearful of Brighton if they're able to pull that off. But two, I think a lot of people will be slightly relieved, and potentially they're thinking they have a chance at going all the way to the final and potentially even winning the thing. So it would be a massive upset. It would probably be the biggest upset of the entire draw, men's and women's, but doesn't mean it's not possible. So you never know. Angel could get their wish.
Yeah, sport, anything can happen in sport. We must say, well, I must touch on London GD. We've covered them quite a bit. We've got them coming up soon as well. There's a little clue for you for our breaking news a little bit later. But an incredible outfit, London GD. And every time we go and cover them, so nice and so helpful as well. So there we go. That is your National Cup draws done. Let's just remind ourselves of the women's side as well. The women's National Cup final draw looks like this. NEM Hawks or Liverpool will take on London GD or Islington. West London Eagles 2 or Bristol will take on Chelsea or Olympia. Loughborough or Oxford will take on West London Eagles 1 or Paul Phoenix. And Nottingham will take on either Sabres or Northampton. Again, for the men's for one final time. Don't worry, these will be all confirmed with the teams and everybody. But it's going to be Oxford or West London Eagles taking on Manchester or Durham, London GD or Brighton taking on Paul Phoenix or Carshalton Titans. Northampton or NEM Hawks will take on Bristol or Chelsea. And again, Nottingham will take on Chichester Vulcans or Olympia. That is the draws done and dusted. However, we had a little look at some highlights a little bit earlier of the Women's Premier Handball League from last week. We've now got a bit of action to show you from the Men's Premier Handball League as well. We were there again at Nottingham, same venue, Sutton Bonington. This time it was for Nottingham against Manchester, and it looked a little bit like this.
Get more goals in the Premier Handball League than it did in the Premier Football League. And
Nottingham's 40 goals also came against Birmingham.
Nottingham trying, very ambitious.
Tell us who you're supporting and tell us if you played handball at school. So a lot coming up during the 10-minute break. But Nottingham.
Winger. And it's dispatched rather efficiently. They break up the court, out to the right wing, and mystery straight to the middle of the
surely.
And there we go. Again, too much.
I'm actually managing the production as well, which is take my eyes off the actual game quite a lot. Absolutely. Jackie's doing an amazing job, as he always does.
This is Nottingham in the standings, so they'll be wanting to close that up as much as they can. Tell you what, though, that's not going to help them.
Yeah, every time I hear that music, I just like I'm scratching a DJ. It's great, isn't it? For those who didn't catch up with the game last week, Nottingham ran out winners 35-24. It was actually, the start was very similar to the women's game, wasn't it? It was very tight for the first sort of 15 minutes or so. But then in the end, Nottingham just got ahead of steam and just propelled away from Manchester. They just couldn't get back into the game, Jack.
Yeah, I think Nottingham were very consistent. Manchester weren't. I think that was the big thing. It was 6-6, I believe, up until the point where Nottingham decided to... I don't think it was Nottingham deciding to turn it on, as I said. I think it's more Manchester struggled to keep up with it for the entire 60 minutes. Too much space. We saw in a couple of the highlights there. There was just too much space in the when Manchester were trying to recover into defence. They just left the middle wide open, which obviously is not ideal because that's the easiest place for Nottingham to break up to the other end and score. So I think a lot of it is when you start losing, potentially heads start to go down and you can't quite pick yourself up. You might have a good run for 5 to 10 minutes where everything sort of goes your way again, but all of a sudden Nottingham find a way to sort of break that down, cut out that momentum as well, and all of a sudden you realise you only got back 2 or 3 goals and you needed to get back 7 or something. So it was a good game. Manchester just didn't quite have enough to be as consistent as Nottingham.
Yeah, no, certainly the case. We've actually had another couple of comments coming in. Angel's commented again also. Let's just have a quick look at what she's saying. Probably is going off subject a little bit. Also want to say, after I had the opportunity to play against the under-19s Nottingham team in the final, we know what they can do. Definitely seem to watch out for. So, I mean, look, Nottingham seem to be an outfit overall through all levels, really on the up, aren't they? We know obviously Ricardo's involved. It was Guillaume, wasn't it, who was there on Sunday, and he, by the way, big thank you to him. He really helped me get everything set up with the venue as well. It just seems a very professional outfit, Jack, Nottingham.
Yeah, they are. I mean, we mentioned them a lot today, but that's because we did their games last week, hence what you just saw the highlights. So they are worth giving a big shout out to. They're a fantastic community club, a fantastic sort of hub for handball in that sort of area. Obviously, Nottingham versus Loughborough is a derby. They're really not that far away from each other. They actually use the same home ground. They're that close to each other. But Nottingham do feel like they're the slightly overall bigger club, but it's nice to see Loughborough obviously delving into the junior sections as well, considering a lot of people think of them as a university team. They're out there trying to make waves in the other sections of the sort of the ladder, the hierarchy. But Nottingham are really sort of a team that you look at and they are the model of what a handball club should be at the moment. And a lot of other teams out there, it's not to say other teams aren't doing exactly the same thing. Hawks are brilliant. Shropshire are doing a fantastic job mainly in their junior categories, but moving up to the seniors as well. There's loads of them out there, but Nottingham for sure are one of the top.
Yeah, they certainly are. There has been, again, in the Men's Premier North, there have been a couple of fixtures over the course of this weekend as well. Yesterday, Liverpool played Nottingham. We saw that earlier, didn't we? And Manchester played Birmingham as well. Let's just have a quick look. I just want to go through some of the fixtures that are coming up. We are going to be live. In fact, no, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to do our big announcement first of all, before I tell everybody what is going to be coming up, the other fixtures that are going to be happening in February across both the men's and women's Premier Handball League North and South divisions as well. We've had a heavy focus on North this week, but that's because we were at the Northern Premier Handball League. We're going to be at both next month. I am delighted to say as well, one of the games that we are going to be showing, in fact, the very first game we are going to be showing is this one. Here we go. Breaking news in the men's Premier South. This is where we are going to be. We're going to be heading to Twickenham, St Mary's University for Chelsea, taking on London GD. We've mentioned London GD a lot today. They are going to be live on the cameras on the 19th of February. We are going to be there live for that one. What do you make of that one, Jack?
Well, I think Brighton, Poole and Carshalton are all three teams that are certainly going to be watching that one with interest to try and pick up any sort of tendencies that London GD have, maybe have any weaknesses and everything like that in preparation for their cup run. But Chelsea, yeah, they've got quite a bit to prove. I'm just going to very quickly. I should have these all memorized by now, but there's 4 different leagues to remember exactly where everybody is. It's a bit difficult. But Chelsea have been flying under the radar, to be fair. They've been quietly going about their business in a very efficient manner even. They are third. They're only 2 points off Olympia. They're only 1 point behind London GD. So really, I was about to try and build this up to be some kind of massive upset, but I don't think you can really call it an upset. I think it's just more the fact that Chelsea have a good chance against London GD, and we definitely shouldn't be writing them off. It's a really good match to go and watch.
Well, they've played today, actually, Chelsea. I'm not too sure what score. If anybody knows, please do comment below if you're at the game. They played Olympia today at St Mary's University. So whatever the scores, if somebody could please comment below, that would be absolutely amazing. Please. I will check out social media and do check out England Handball Association website and channels as well. As I said a few times, there's a link in the body of this broadcast. It will take you straight through to the England Handball Association website. Of course, that's not it, though. That's our southern game for February. We are going to be heading up north, and we are heading back to Nottingham. There we go. This is the Women's Premier North game we are going to be bringing live for you. Nottingham against Birmingham is going to be shown live in February. The reason why we're splitting it to next month is because we can't get games on the same day. So we're going to split it. We're going to do one north, one south. We are trying to be as fair as possible and get every single team in as we can. We haven't covered Chelsea before. We have covered London GD this season, haven't we? But we haven't covered Chelsea before. We haven't covered Birmingham either. Hence the reason why we're going for these games. We think they're going to be good matchups as well. But equally, it keeps it as fair as possible. There's just not 2 teams left playing each other that we haven't covered so far yet, Jack.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, one of the biggest things that appeals about this broadcasting deal, obviously, that England Handball have with us, with you, Live Sport Now, I should say, really, more than me. But it's the fact that hopefully everybody gets a chance to get that little bit of exposure, and obviously some of the top teams are going to get a little bit more because quite often they're gunning for things like the cup runs and potentially to get into the final fours and all that sort of thing. But we do want to give everybody an opportunity in the leagues to try and expose their sort of style of handball, their club, and just get a little bit of, just enjoyment out of hopefully being shown live, because it is really good fun. I remember, if we were ever, even when we were just getting our games recorded by camera, it wasn't even live. There was no commentary. There was nothing like that. It was just, it was going on YouTube sort of thing. I always used to get really quite excited by it. So hopefully people get excited by the fact that the camera's there and they try a little bit harder. We do think that people do try harder, to be fair, because the games have always been pretty spectacular when we turned up. And I'm not just saying that's because of us, but, I think it's a little bit because of us.
There was a great atmosphere at Nottingham, actually, on Sunday, wasn't there? There was a huge atmosphere, and it was helped by the fact that there was another game going on after we'd finished as well. But it was a great atmosphere, it really was, and it does help having the cameras there. Before we do head off to end this show, just let you know what's going on across each 4 divisions. The men's and women's Premier Handball League split this year, didn't it change? We had a men's South and North and the Women's South and North Division. For the Men's Premier South, other fixtures that are coming up in February. Remember, you can go to any of these games. If you're watching this and I think I want to check out some handball in the flesh, you can go to any of the games. Just turn up. You don't have to pay tickets or anything. You just literally turn up. On the 4th of February, that's next Saturday, Olympia are taking on West London Eagles at Leighton School. That will be a cracking game, by the way. On Sunday, London GD are taking on Cambridge. Carshalton Titans are playing Chelsea on the Saturday as well. Then on the 18th of February, West London Eagles are hosting Carshalton Titans. The 18th, also Cambridge are hosting Olympia. The 19th of February, Chelsea are hosting London GD. That's your fixtures for the men's Premier South. For the women's Premier South, Olympia taking on West London Eagles again. That will be a good game. That's on the 4th. Also on the 4th, Arctic Falcons taking on Northampton. On the 5th, we've got London GD against Cambridge. On the 18th, we've got West London Eagles, Arctic Falcons. Also on the 18th is Cambridge against Olympia. On the 19th, we've got Northampton, London GD. So that's your South men's and women's split. For the men's Premier North, your fixtures in February look like this. On the 4th, we've got Birmingham against Liverpool. Also on the 4th is NEM Hawks against Manchester. On the 25th, we have Liverpool against NEM Hawks. And the 26th, Nottingham Birmingham, of course, we're going to be live for that game. Moving into the women's Premier North, your fixtures for February look like this. On the 4th, we've got Birmingham against Liverpool. Also on the 4th is Trafford Nottingham. And also on the 4th is NEM Hawks against Loughborough. On the 25th, we've got Liverpool versus NEM Hawks. And on the 26th of February, we've got Nottingham against Birmingham. They are your fixtures for the men's and women's Premier Handball League in February. We just remember, just turn up to anyone you want as well. Jack, thank you for helping me with the quarterfinal draw this evening. And of course, as we always do, having you on the mic, it's a real pleasure. It really is.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think Sue Whitehead's put in the YouTube chat saying that the World Championship Finals is about to start. So we should probably wrap up so people can head over there without missing any of our action and missing any of the World Championship action either.
We'll let you go 1 minute. Just a very quick reminder, your men's National Cup quarterfinal draw looks like this. It's Oxford or West London Eagles taking on Manchester or Durham, London GD, or Brighton taking on Paul Phoenix or Carshalton Titans. It's Northampton or NEM Hawks taking on Bristol or Chelsea, and Nottingham taking on Chichester Vulcans or Olympia. For the Women's National Cup quarter-final, the draw went like this. NEM Hawks or Liverpool taking on London GD or Islington West London Eagles 2, or Bristol taking on Chelsea or Olympia. Loughborough or Oxford taking on West London Eagles 1 or Paul Phoenix, and Nottingham taking on Sabres or Northampton. So your National Cup quarter-final draws are over. We will be back live, as we said, for this one on the 19th of February, Chelsea against London GD in the men's Premier South. It's been a real pleasure, as always. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Go enjoy that World Championships, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Once again, Jack, thank you very much. And everybody, thanks for watching. Take care.